Hello, it's Richard at Richard's Guitars, and I'm going to show you a little bit about picking and a kind of an exercise that ties in with the video that I've been doing. I'm doing a series of videos on learning the major scale and the chords and scale tones found within it, and so check that out. But this is really to give you a sense of, if you're a complete beginner, and giving you an idea of how you should be looking at your picking, and a few little guides on how to improve your right hand technique. So I'll put a diagram up showing the scale that we're going to use, but it shouldn't be new to you if you've been following the sort of some of the videos I've been doing. So I'm not going to spend too much time looking at how we build up the scale, because I'm going to work on the basics on the principle that you might already know that now, but just how to kind of improve your playing technique around this scale. So some of you, if you're complete beginners, I'll get into the position. If you are a complete beginner and you've really been having difficulty just even holding the plectrum, let's even start there. Something that I think is really important that you do, if you are even anywhere from being a complete beginner through to sort of intermediate stages, you want to be really holding this plectrum as much as possible. I think a big mistake is that people learning to play the guitar think that their tuition and their learning and their ability to improve will only come when they are actually playing the guitar, when they sit down with their guitar. But believe it or not, you could go to work, you could go to school if you're of that age, stay at home, whatever you're doing, and you could be holding this plectrum. If you're watching a film, how often do you watch a film? Next time you watch a film, pick up your plectrum and just hold it. Just hold the plectrum. Now that one bit of advice alone I think is worth its weight in gold, because one of the biggest problems with anyone learning to play licks, anything you want to play, the difficulty comes quite often because of not feeling connected with this bit of plastic in your hands. Now you should be able to move it around a bit like a card, like a magician does with his magic hands, sleight of hand. You want to get this plectrum in your fingertips, and you should be able to just hold it like this and feel comfortable with it, do what you want with it. If you're sort of if it all feels a bit alien to you, that means this plectrum is not yet part of your fingers, and you need to make this plectrum part of your fingers. I can't stress enough, the more you get used to holding this plectrum in your hand, the more connected you are going to feel with your guitar when you start playing your scales. So this can be done any time. I hope I've stressed that. You can be doing this any time. So when you're watching that film tonight, get your plectrum and just hold it in your hands. Finger memory, muscle memory, anything you ever learn in your life will be revolving around a similar concept. Even your brain, muscle is repetition, wiring it, repetition. So hold this plectrum in your hands as many hours a day as you can, and that is going to put you at an advantage than if you didn't do that. Okay. So I'm going to show you just a very simple concept of picking. It's technically described as speed picking, and I've kind of mentioned it in another video. And I'm going to just give you a simple practice regime to adopt to practicing up and down this scale that we've been doing already in the other videos. So it won't take me long to show you this. So we're going to start with our one finger per fret method, as we've described before, where we have a finger covering each fret in the scale shape that is in the diagram above. And we are going to start with the second finger, and we're going to start with a downstroke. The next stroke is going to be an upward stroke, because you would expect to be picking like this all the time, wouldn't you? Up and down, up and down. Not just digging down all the time. I mean, I've seen that, but and obviously if you are a complete beginner, that probably is what you've been doing. Down, 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 down all the time. Now that's obviously, or maybe not obviously, but it is a bad technique to learn. And you need to develop beyond that. So we're going to go down, up, okay? So let's just even break that down to a little micro kind of section there. Get your plectrum and just put your hand across the strings. I don't even, if that's you, if you're at that complete beginner point, don't even worry about what's happening on the left hand side. So here's tip number 2. See, we haven't even played the damn thing yet, and I'm but these are so important things to to remember and to understand. If you are having difficulty playing up and downward strokes, you shouldn't even be looking at what's going on the left hand side, because again, all too often people will try and do both at the same time, learning left hand technique and right hand technique at the same time. That's not good. It's not a good thing to try and do. If you try to develop both, you don't try and develop both at the same time. So if you've got a right hand technique problem, put your hands down across the string so you create like a percussive effect. Okay. General timing in terms of we generally consider 4 beats in a bar, and a bar is broken down, it's like a segment of time, so we break it down to 4 beats. So we want to kind of, if you were to imagine 4 beats in the bar as downward strokes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there you see I did downward strokes, and the reason why I did downward strokes is because quite often we're going to be playing what are called 8th notes, and those are consisting of the downs, the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the bar, and an upward stroke, which we can sort of describe as an and. 1 and that's where the upward stroke comes in. So we're going to basically practice going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you'll see my hand is going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now can you see, I'm not worrying about what's going on my left hand. I'm not worried about playing something right now. I'm just trying to build the dexterity and my ability to hit that string accurately. So more tips then. So we're not worrying about what's going on down the left hand side here. We're worrying about the right hand side. And what we want to be doing is as little movement as possible. I'm going to talk to you in the future about dampening the strings, but for right now, dampening is when you're playing a lick. If I played this, all the notes can be ringing out of this. You need to be dampening with your left hand and right hand. Dampening techniques. That's something that's very important for electric guitar particularly. Right now we're not worried about that. So we're just going to be talking about the movement of this plectrum. So I'll put my hands across the string. Now what we don't want is flappy, right? Flappy hands. We don't need to be, there doesn't need to be a lot of movement for this. Just enough movement to, and it's, I would consider the string kind of hugging. The plectrum is hugging the string. Hug the string. You don't want the string, you don't want the plectrum to be too far away from that string at any one time. And you want as little movement as you can. So you can build up the speed to a point where it doesn't hurt your hand. I mean, if I was going to not embarrass myself, I'd practice this for a few days, in fact, before showing you. But if I was trying, in the old days, I used to be able to pick quite fast. And really, it's as mundane as doing that. So you just want to just practice. Now the thing about it is, let's keep to a reasonable tempo here. You start finding your arm is cramping, your right arm is hurting by, let's say for example that kind of tempo there is pretty medium speed. If you're finding that your hand is cramping, your elbow's cramping, you are doing it wrong. Everything should feel nice and comfortable and relaxed. You should not be hurting your elbow because it shows that you're putting too much tension into it, okay? It's nice and loose, but we want to keep a nice, gentle, hugging feeling. So there's not too much movement. You can see how that plectrum, it's just my wrist. There's not a lot of hand movement. There's certainly no elbow movement in there. Okay, so now with that in mind, when we want to cross the string, so we're going to go down, up. Okay, so we've gone down, up. So now, once we get that in place, we start looking at the scale. So we've got the down and the up. we're going to go down. It's natural, it feels right. We're moving down to the next string, so we're going to go down. So it's down, up, down. So now we go down, up, down, up, down. So everything so far has been what you might expect. Down, up, down, up, down. And that takes us up there to, in this case, the G, the note G. If we were talking intervals, it'd be the fifth of the major scale. The fifth interval. That's another lesson. But people who've been following me will understand what that means. So we're going down, up, down, up, down. So it's all been down, ups. But now, even though down, up, down, logically you might think we're going to do an up and come round the string down to this next note here. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go down again. So this is where the speed picking comes into it, because we're going to be going down, 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 down. But if you look at it, it's kind of like, remember what I said about hugging the string? We're still hugging the string and we're going down, down. And it's almost like one smooth motion. There isn't two physical downward strokes. It's almost like down, 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 down. It's coming across the strings. It's hugging the strings. The hand is hugging the string. It's resting on the string. It's just dropping down. So it's a very natural, smooth motion that brings it down from one string to the next. So because we've done a downward stroke, we're now going to do an upward stroke and then a down. And that's our octave. So it's down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. And that is something you need to practice doing. But let's carry on up to the full octave. So we've just gone down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down again, up, down, down, up, down, up. Okay. You just need to get your head around that concept, and if it feels very alien to you at the beginning, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, because in the end it just becomes very, very natural. It'll become very natural. And what will happen as a result is your playing will become much smoother, and you'll feel very comfortable playing at reasonable tempo. I don't like the way that sounds because I remember how smoothly I used to do it. But you got the idea. You can be better than me. You can practice this and make it good. So one of the ways to practice it is to do the following. In terms of thinking how you should practice something, think of it in groups of like the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, well, that's eight. That's eight movements, if you like, to a bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's 8 movements. So it's kind of, you can cover kind of 8 notes. And if you play through the scale, you'll sort of recognise this following thing becomes quite a good exercise. So let me just show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That takes you at the 1 octave, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the octave, okay? But that's not gonna. That's kind of spoil our little practice regime. So carry on up to 8, right? Then down, because that's 2 bars now. We've done 2 bars, 2 lots of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 ands, and then we're going to come back down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is ready to start again. If you do that, it's gonna be a nice movement that you can keep practicing. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and. Yeah, you get it? So once you've got that down, and something I didn't talk about there was coming back up. Coming back up works in exactly the same way. Every time you want to come up a string, your plectrum has to follow up through the strings as well. You never come round the string. See how you get on. What I would do then is I'd get a little backing track or a keyboard, if you've got a keyboard with a drum machine on it, just something. So for example, I could do something like, okay, let's just, so that's just a little groove, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that little groove was made up of the root and a 5. A 5 chord. 5 chords are used all the time in rock. Just those. You know, all that kind of stuff. So, all that kind of thing. So, let's play. 2 and 3 and 4 and that should keep you going. An extension to this concept, once you've got your idea of coming down the strings and up the strings like this, which is essentially what we're doing, we're following down through the strings as we play up through the scale, and as we come back down through the scale in pitch, we're dragging the plectrum more this way, more controlled this way. If we learn some arpeggios, what you'll find is as you learn to play arpeggios, this right hand is actually already doing what it needs to be doing. It is controlled, going down through the strings, up, down. That's something we can look at in the future. Okay, so I hope that helps. And so have a little practice at, depending on what level you're at right now, it might be that you just need to be focusing on the right hand technique. If you feel comfortable with the right hand technique, start having a look at the scale itself, playing through the scale, and I've given you a little bit of a kind of an exercise there to cement that scale down into a couple of bars going up and down the scale. So I hope that helps anyway, get you started. Okay, cheers, bye.